All right. Hello, hello. And we are live with this very, very special live commentary for Silent Night, Deadly Night. Let me know if you guys can hear me out there in the chat. We've got a lively chat going on already. Everybody seems to be excited. Am I coming through loud and clear? Night Deadly. Oh yeah, I'm coming through loud and clear. Loud and clear. But yes, it is a very, very special occasion tonight. We will be watching and discussing Silent Night, Deadly Night, the controversial holiday slasher flick. And I'm absolutely tickled to be able to bring you guys out there a family reunion. This is a family reunion we're having right here. The brothers are back, reunited, and I'm just so honored and so tickled to be joined tonight by the star of Silent Night, Deadly Night, Billy himself, Robert Brian Wilson. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, very well, very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be fun, man.
This is going to be a lot of fun. And again, thank you so much. I know you're a very, very busy man, so taking the time out to do this with me and for all of us is just a pleasure, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm truly looking forward to it. This is going to be fun. Like I said, I'm new to this world, so this is like Disneyland for the first time.
Well, and it's even more special tonight, people, because this is only the third time that Rob's seen the movie.
Oh,
3 times. He saw it back when the film was first released. He watched it during the 30th anniversary, and he's watching it here tonight.
That's it. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of film. I don't watch a lot of TV, and certainly like any of the fans have probably heard, I don't like watching myself on TV or film. It's not something that teaches me anything. It's not something that excites me. I'd honestly rather watch a bad sports game than to do that. So anyway, I'm honored to be here with you all, and thank you, Justin, for putting this together.
You're very welcome. Trust me. All the honor and the pleasure is totally on this side of the screen, man. Absolutely, 100%. But also with me tonight, Billy's on-screen little brother, the Eric Freeman, Ricky from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. How you doing, sir?
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm just as much of a fan as anyone else of Robert, so this will be a good one. I might even be able to ask a question or two, and let's get it going, man.
And I got to tell you, Eric, that is one handsome shirt you're wearing. That is a beautiful shirt.
Yes, good friend of mine. He's got a nice website, and he's one hell of a fucking host. Got a shirt. It's really nice shirt too. If anyone's looking for, I mean, this shirt is so soft, and I mean, it's like you're wearing nothing. And some of these T-shirts you get, they feel like cardboard and they're just stiff. This thing was just like a Lexus. I mean, nice. Whoa. So,
well, Eric, I appreciate those words, and the check is in the mail, my friend.
No, I'm dead serious. No, it's a nice shirt, and I remember I wrote back as Ricky to Justin saying, man, I'm like the talk of the town in the asylum, and this shirt is it, and it's just nice.
Well, man, I appreciate it, and again, thanks so much for joining us. The chat is just going absolutely wild. Eric Freeman is a legend. JG Wentworth just commented. Let's see. Jeff Overing says, "I love you, Robert Brian Wilson."
Right on, Jeff.
We've got my buddy Chris, Crystal Lake Counselor, saying it's garbage day. We've got people wanting punishment. So if this is the most dangerous place in the world to be right now if you've been naughty this year, because we've got the brothers here, and they are not afraid to punish. That is for sure. Not afraid at all to get to the punishment. But if you guys out there in the chat have any questions for Robert or Eric during the course of the live stream, feel free to post those in the chat. I'll periodically be checking the chat, and I'll make a list. And if you guys are interested in watching the movie along with us, we have all got our copy of the uncut version of Silent Night, Deadly Night queued up at the very beginning, 0.00. So here just momentarily, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes, and we'll get the ball rolling on the live commentary. I do want to mention really quickly that if you guys are in the Seattle area, Robert Brian Wilson has been officially announced as a guest for this upcoming Crypticon in Seattle. It's March, right? Next March.
I think Crypticon is May.
Okay.
I think, May. I don't know the specific dates, but of course you can find that. I think Crypticon is May. And the other thing that we're talking about out in Atlantic City, I think New Jersey, was March. There we go.
Okay. Yep. So if you guys are in the Seattle area, Crypticon Seattle 2020, Robert will be there, and Eric has not been officially announced just yet, but I would not be surprised if he does get announced in the very, very near future. And I can speak from experience. I've met both of these guys at conventions. You could not meet two more fan-friendly, nice freaking guys. So if you're in the area, go meet Rob and Eric. You will not be disappointed, that is for sure.
Well, thank you, Justin. That's very kind of you.
Very well.
I second that. I think the Crypticon is May 1 through the 3rd, May 1st, 1 through 3rd, and then the New Jersey one is the 27th, 28th, 29th, something like. One's at the beginning of May, Seattle, and the other in New Jersey is the end of May.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go. Guys, mark your calendars. And again, definitely, if you're in the area, you want to meet Eric and you want to meet Rob. Both great guys. Very, very fan-friendly. You couldn't meet two nicer guys at a convention, that is for sure. Also, if you guys are interested, theericfreeman.com, that's THEE, ericfreeman.com for all of your SNDN2 Eric Freeman autographed merch, such as
Oh God.
this guy right here, guys.
Yes.
The Eric Freeman Garbage Day Garbage Can. That is real, like steel. Okay, you could kill somebody with this thing. I'm not advising anybody to kill anybody with this thing, but if you wanted to, so theericfreeman.com, THEE, ericfreeman.com. Nothing says I love you more during the holiday season than Eric Freeman autographed garbage can. All right. So let's, you guys ready to dive into Silent Night, Deadly Night?
Oh yeah.
All right. I will count down.
Total garbage, baby.
I will count down from 3, and then we'll get the party started here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. One of my forget about
I'm having a little trouble here. Sorry, Justin.
Oh.
I can advance it.
Hey Justin, I let it run to get past the very introduction stuff, and then started it like when the credits were rolling.
That's fine.
We can stop it. We can stop it and then wait for Robert.
Okay, let's stop it. Let's stop and let's wait for Robert, because we got. I mean, he's the star of the show. We can't.
Yeah.
We can't be running off and leaving the star behind.
Well, I had it all queued up here, and I'm pressing play, and I'm not getting any activity. Of course, this happens in the technical world.
It happens. Technical difficulties happen. It just goes with the territory.
Let me get my IT guy in here. Hey, Chad.
That's funny.
Let's see. The Trash Stash says, "Happy holidays. I watch the first 2 Silent Night movies every year." Thank you, Trash Stash.
You got the touch. Okay, so I've got the little girl singing, Justin.
Okay. Do you want to
spot with Eric?
Do you want to get it back to the beginning, and then we'll start right from the very beginning?
Okay. Let me know when. So you can get right to 0-0? This is like right here, right? Boom. Looks like right at it. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay. Where's the pause here? What's the pause? Okay, so I'm right at the beginning where the logo's coming up of Silent Night, and the little girl is just starting to sing,
Okay.
folks.
All right, let's go. Let's start from there. That sounds good to me.
All right, rolling.
Right, cool. And we are rolling with Silent Night, Deadly Night. Oh my goodness, not just one of my favorite holiday slasher movies, one of my favorite slasher movies, period. It's a yearly event for me to watch this film, as it is for so many. So
Yeah. I'm turning my end down a little bit, Justin.
yeah,
So hear you.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah, just put it on mute, right?
Well, yeah, or just turn the volume down low so we don't get into any kind of copyright issues with music or with the movie itself. But we should be good. We should be good.
All right.
Excellent.
Cool. Well, I'll get the ball rolling. Rob, you've talked about how you were, some would call it discovered, but it sounds like you were practically stalked by the guy who ended up being your manager.
Right.
So, did you have any aspirations to be an actor prior to Silent Night, Deadly Night?
No, none whatsoever. None whatsoever. It came as a complete surprise to be approached by this gentleman on the street in Palm Springs when I was on spring break with my girlfriend down in Palm Springs. He came to me after we had finished our dinner there in the restaurant, and it was by complete surprise. I had no idea this was coming. I had no hopes, no dreams of ever doing anything in Hollywood, although I only lived 30 miles from there growing up as a kid.
Well, I mean, that's cool. You got discovered. I mean, that's like the Hollywood fairy tale of being discovered at the, just out and about. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, as it all turns out, it's been, I was in college at the time, so I didn't really know what direction I was going in, and it was my girlfriend then, who's now my wife of 30 years, that said, well, why don't you go check it out? You don't know what direction you're going in with your life. Why don't you go check it out? And lo and behold, this guy was totally legit. And, I learned some things from him, but, from after the movie and whatnot, I kind of stepped into a world of just normal TV, not just horror and slashers and stuff like that. I did some soap operas and some primetime TV and some other films. And in the process of all of that, I came back to Hollywood after being in New York for a year on a soap opera. And I scheduled a lunch with my agent. And basically the lunch was to tell him that I didn't want to do this anymore. I wanted to kind of move on with my life. Mm-hmm. And he got very emotional with me. And this was a man who I had great respect for. And he was truly a wonderful man. And so when he got emotional with me at the lunch there, and kind of called me out, if you will, the fact that I didn't have any training at that point. And here I am coming back to him after all the work that he had done And as he described all the gifts, the natural gifts that I had, which, I didn't understand any of that. I mean, I came from a family of athletics where my father taught me fundamentals, and that's how you grew your game, through fundamentals. And as an actor, I didn't really feel that I understood how to play the game, and therefore it wasn't fulfilling. And he asked me at that time, at that lunch, if I would do one last thing, and that was to meet with Sanford Meisner, who had relocated from the East Coast, and he's a master teacher of the craft of acting, and if I would meet with him before I threw in the towel completely. And I did, and I did meet with Sanford, and I'll tell you the truth, that's what changed my life as an actor. That's what changed my life as a human being. So, in retrospect, Hollywood was the greatest gift I have ever received.
Mm. Wow, that's an awesome story. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
Do you remember any of the advice or anything that he told you that kind of, got you interested again?
Well, it was that foundational work that my father had taught me as an athlete that Sanford, pounded into your soul. But yet it was very simple. It was the very simple human behavioral basics that we often skirt over. And that is to look the person in the eye and listen to them and pay attention to their behavior. And that my acting would come out of that, as opposed to me having some predetermined idea of what acting should be or how I should behave in this moment. My moments came from what my fellow actors gave me, and he taught me how to do that. And that was all through listening. And again, in listening, once we really start to listen, and these are techniques that, we worked on, we practiced, that in listening, we would see how the other person felt through hearing their words, and therefore I could have an honest reaction to the moment. And in that, and again, going back to the dude in Palm Springs, when you say, stalker, kind of, it felt strange to me, because when I stepped out of the restaurant with my girl, he came up to me and said, I've been watching you tonight, which for me, I'm 21 years old, and, I probably had a couple margaritas. I'm 21 now. Uh-huh. And I looked at this guy and went, that's strange. You know what I mean? Step away.
Yeah.
And went, no. If you don't mind, I'm a Hollywood manager, and I really just watched how you behaved tonight. And I went, so what'd you watch, dude? You know what I mean?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, well, I watched how you behaved with your girlfriend tonight, how you interacted with her, and I watched how you interacted with the waiter staff. And finally, I watched when you paid your bill. And so a lot of the things that I learned from Sanford Meisner 10 years later are the things that that gentleman in Palm Springs saw in me, in my natural, normal behavior. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know that was those foundational tools that would help me as an actor. I didn't know until the man explained it to me, until we went through exercises and basically confirmed that what I did day in, day out in my life already was a very handy tool for me as an actor. Basically, the craft of acting is, listening and being in the moment and responding honestly, which apparently I already had in my being. I just didn't know that was a tool as an actor. I thought acting was something different,
Well, you had it. And there's coming from an athletic background, to be a really good athlete, you have to have, there's an it factor. And I think to be a really good actor, there's an it factor too. Because, I mean, you can be trained by the best in the world, but if you don't have charisma is something that you can't learn. It's something that you're just born with. And sometimes I feel the same way about athletics. I have a semi-athletic background myself. And I mean, you know, you can, as hard as I would train and practice, there was guys on the team that were just better. And that's just the way it is, you know?
Right.
And you clearly had those, you know, indelible qualities.
Well, that's kind. That's kind. And it's not something, again, that when I did Silent Night, Deadly Night, that I really had any idea that what I was doing would transfer to what, you know, people have witnessed over 35 years of this film being out, and, you know, without any training, for them to say that, you know, my moment to moment honesty was something that resonated with them. I had no idea that would be worth anything. And so, you know, there's different schools of thought out there that, you know, sometimes it's best to be natural and just be untrained. Mm-hmm. But what the training did for me, Justin, was to confirm in me that the things that my parents taught me, which was to be respectful and, you know, to look people in the eye when they speak to you and listen, were the tools that I needed as an actor. And until it was confirmed by Sanford Meisner that this is basic and simple, and the camera captures that honesty in a moment between two people or four people or 10 people or whatever the scene requires, that Sanford confirmed that is the only thing that you want to do, is to just be yourself and be honest in the moment. And that's the only thing I knew to do back in the days of Silent Night, Deadly Night, because I didn't have I didn't have a big old bag of tools or tricks. I was basically as green as they come, and I was just trying to be as honest as I could be.
Yeah.
And just fulfill the writer's words, again, is genuinely as honestly as I could. And so here we are, folks, you know, this is what you get.
Yeah. Well, and clearly for both of you guys, I mean, charisma came easily. So, I mean, yeah, go ahead, Eric, please.
You know, thank you. I guess what I just wanted to add something in here, not add, but rather ask Robert, you know, you're in short order, you're auditioning for this film. And I mean, clearly you beat all the competition, and, you know, which is, you know, it needs to be brought up. That isn't easy, folks. I mean, he might have been green or thought he was green, but he had the chops to, you know, seal the deal, get the job, sign the contract, go to work. And, but besides that, I was just going to ask that I have heard that sometimes directors will work with their stars and their cast members. I haven't had that luxury, or didn't, but I was wanted to know that Robert, you know, I know a lot of your story, but I don't know if the director in particular had worked with you scene to scene, if he had, you know, said, you know, this is what we're doing today, and this is what I'd like to see, and, you know, or just did he say, you know, more of the same, or, you know, did he kind of work with you, you know, not just on the blocking and you know, getting on your marks and all that, but rather, you know, just a little bit more detail in what he wanted to see performance wise.
Yeah, you know, no, he was Charles Cellier Jr. He had done some episodic TV, and he, for the most part, what I have learned through the years, was a kind of a documentary director. So as far as working with me directly, Eric, and suggesting things like we've, heard they do with some actors out there, I didn't have that luxury, and that's okay, because it's not that I could have, like I said to Justin just moments ago, that I didn't have this big bag full of acting tools to fulfill anything that a director may have asked me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as the direction went, the cameraman, Mr. Schnelling, he was more of a help to me than anything the director said. I mean, he basically would frame the shot and he would tell me that this is very tight. So when you're feeling whatever you're feeling, it's going to be on a 30-foot screen. So keep it tight, keep it simple. And I'm going to capture everything that's happening on your face, everything that's happening within you, whatever's going on in your soul. I'm going to capture it. So you don't have to do much, just feel what's going on. And that came from the director of photography, not from Charles Sellier Jr.
Mm.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. I didn't get a tremendous amount of like, this is where you feel like your puppy dog died. You know what I mean? There was none of that. You know what I mean? There was none of that. It was, he would basically tell the director of photography the shot that they were looking for, and then the director of photography, he would speak directly to me, saying that, hey man, what you're looking into the camera here, and this is like a 5x4 lens, and that's what I'm getting. And if you move outside this way or that way, I'm losing you. So keep it all right here. Keep it simple. Keep your thoughts, just what they are. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to act anything. Just feel what's going on and go from there. And it wasn't like I was doing these tricks as actors can do these days, like I was treating things as if I was being tormented, as if I was feeling this, feeling that. I took the writer's words as they were and tried to make as much truth of them as I possibly could. That's it.
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned that Charles Sellier, who's unfortunately no longer with us, he had at the time of Silent Night, Deadly Night, he'd already produced a lot of television and documentaries, the Grizzly Adams series,
sure,
a lot of religious programs, which made him a really outside the box choice to direct Silent Night, Deadly Night. And actually, according to legend, Sam Raimi from The Evil Dead was interviewed to possibly direct Silent Night, Deadly Night, but Ira Barmack wanted Sellier.
Yes, and I've heard that as well. And from one of the producers, Scott Schneid, actually mentioned that in the process of them trying to get this thing going, Scott was very hopeful that it would be Sam Raimi.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he definitely had a horror pedigree, even at that time. I mean, he had a horror pedigree, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, who knows what we'd have got, right?
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? Well, and you mentioned that, Charles Sellier was a little hands off as far as directing is concerned. I'm looking for my notes here, what the gentleman's name was. He was the second unit director as well as the editor, but he kind of makes it sound like he directed quite a bit of the movie. I believe his name was Michael Pence. He kind of made it sounded like he directed a lot of the movie, that he collaborated with Sellier, but when it came to calling the shots, he was the one calling those shots. Do you remember who was calling the shots the most on the set? Do you recall?
I really don't. And again, I don't. And I apologize if Mr. Spence or Pence, I'm sorry. It's hard, 35 years ago. I always use this saying. I don't remember yesterday, let alone 35 years ago. But yeah, I just don't recall. And I wouldn't mind a conversation about this with the second unit director.
It was Spence. I'm sorry, his name was Spence.
Thank you. Because perhaps he could jog my memory of, hey, remember when we were doing this or doing that, and I'm assuming, everything is true, and but I just don't recall a bunch of that type of direction, on that film. I just, but again, my memory doesn't serve me very well 35 years back. I remember the kill scenes, you know what I mean?
I hear you. We'll be getting to those momentarily. So yeah. Yeah, no doubt about that. But I have to, I just imagine that, you go from being discovered to auditioning to starring in a movie. Was there ever a point in time where you were like, oh man, I've bitten off more than I can chew here?
No. That's a great question, because it definitely, that's not the cloth I'm cut from, man. It's like when I commit, I'm in, man. I'm both feet in, and it may be a rough day, but I'm giving it everything I got. Right?
Well, you mentioned the athletic background. I mean, did you sort of, when you're coming from, you have to have a lot of discipline physically as an athlete. Did you apply any of that discipline sort of to your approach to acting from a more of a mental point of view?
Yes, Justin, absolutely. I mean, really, I think that, when we get into situations in our life, which, it may be kind of a unknown territory, we certainly lean on the areas where that type of discipline, that type of focus, that comes into play. It's almost like, what do I want to say? It's a natural instinct that we go with what we know. Mm. And so, yeah, 100%. Acting and athletics. I know that there are probably athletes out there that are saying, I don't know what this guy's talking about, but maybe some of them who have crossed over and done some work in the acting world can attest to this, that there's a lot of similarity there. There's it's just athletics. It's being in the moment and trying to execute. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, tremendous crossover for me. And that was my go-to, and it still is a lot, but certainly my training with Sanford Meisner in the later years solidified some of the things that I would do as an athlete, and just as a person, again, from what my parents taught me as to how to behave right in certain situations. My athletics background, my upbringing, those were the things that I would lean on. And then Sanford Meisner later in the day confirmed that I was on the right track with those fundamentals, those instincts, and that that would carry me as an actor.
Yeah, cool. Well, I mean, I can totally agree with you. I've did a lot of athletics growing up, and little later on in my life, I did community theater and dinner theater, and there is that crossover. There definitely is. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. As a matter of fact, like actors who are out there that their passion is acting, I would suggest to them, go out and learn tennis. Mm. You know what I mean? I would suggest to them, go out and play a round of golf. It's very frustrating. It's very difficult to do, but the discipline that it takes to do those types of athletics will help you as an actor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's right. It's all discipline. It's discipline. And that's really the bottom line, whether it's tennis or golf or or any pursuit athletically that's going to test you. And Robert's right.
Yeah. Well, Lillian Chauvin is on the screen now as Mother Superior, and she does such a good job as Mother Superior because you just hate her so much. You just want Billy to, go to town on her with that axe. And she was probably the most seasoned actor in this movie. According to IMDb, she had over 145 acting credits to her name. So going all the way back to the 40s. So, I mean, she'd been around for a while. And I've heard in the past, Rob, that she kind of took you under her wing for a price to kind of to kind of help you out a little bit.
I like that, Justin. You've done your research. That's very good. Very, very good. Because I was just, when you brought her up, I was like, I hope we don't just skim over the fact that she was a fantastic actress and that she makes you really not like her in this film, because she was instrumental in what I did. When I arrived in Utah, again, the memories are vague or unclear, but I met with her and she asked if at some point I would like to go over the script with her where she and I would interact. And I said, yeah, that would be great. And lo and behold, I joined her and we sat down with my script and she ran through not only where she and I would have interaction, but she ran through the whole entire script with me. And she helped me so much to understand what the stage direction was in the script. She helped me to understand what later the director of photographer would describe to me in the shots, that this is going to be tight. Don't move. Say this very clearly. Be still. You know what I mean? She was instrumental in that. And yeah, when it comes to the money part, she was an acting coach in North Hollywood at the time, let alone, doing all of her work. That's what some actors do. They have a little side gig where they teach acting, and she would do it at her home. Well, of course, we're on the road, and she had a price that she charged per hour. And I was a broke actor, but I had a lump of cash in my pocket of per diem that I paid her for her services, and she wasn't reluctant to receive it.
But if she helped you, then it was worth it. I mean, you're here on screen now. This, nice looking young guy, buff guy, green as a gourd, but
right.
with all of the skills needed to deliver the performance, and with the help of Lillian Chauvin, what I mean? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. No, she, again, in saying this, I don't want to suggest at any moment that Charles Sellier wasn't directing me as an actor. And, a lot of times as a coach, and I go back to athletics, and I'm sorry if this doesn't resonate with our viewers, but sometimes with an athlete, when they get it, you leave them alone. Okay. And so I'll give Charles the credit that he perhaps said, hey man, I'm not going to touch this guy. What he's doing, I couldn't direct that. So I'm just going to leave him alone. So I give him credit because sometimes people don't know when to step away. And so I give Charles credit because he let me be.
Yeah.
But in letting me be, what I was trying to do was a lot of what Lillian taught me in the couple hours that I spent with her going over my role in the script. So again, I don't want to shortchange anybody. I don't want to discredit what Charles did, because maybe his gift was to see what's going on, see what I was bringing, and leave me alone.
Right.
And that's the gift.
And maybe he was the kind of director who, if I cast you, that means I have faith that you'll do the job. Do the job. Let me do all this, all the other jobs a director does. You do your job. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's probably true. But Lillian was instrumental.
Very cool. Very
cool. Thank you, Lillian. God bless you.
Yes. But yes, we've got Billy here on screen now, being chewed out by this guy. Billy can't. He just, the poor kid. I mean, he watches his mother and father murdered by the hands of this psycho Santa. Which, when I announced that I was doing this live commentary with you guys, I had I don't know how many people say that opening to this movie with that guy killing the clerk and then killing Billy's mom and dad. Just, it's so brutal that it just perfectly sets up. No wonder this kid is immensely traumatized by a Santa. So we totally understand why he's so traumatized. And those sequences are absolutely brutal. The murder of the store clerk, which the guy netted a whopping $31 for that. And then he killed Billy's mom and dad just for a car. And he would have killed Billy too if he hadn't ran off and hid. So, I mean, just really a perfect setup, I think, for why you're so traumatized.
I agree. And, of course, the film, if the audience doesn't know that the film was originally titled Sleigh Ride. And so when I talk about the script, I remember, the title on the front page of the script, Sleigh Ride. And as an actor, some actors, and again, I'm not making judgments here, but they'll look at their role and look at their words and just focus on that and learning their words and how they're going to go about doing it and blah, blah, blah. Cool. That's not my process. My process was I read from page 1 all the way through 20 times that script to get a feel for the trauma that I was going to then have to convey when I came into the movie, some 20 minutes, whatever minutes into this thing. I was really cold in that scene.
I was going to ask, like, when you're doing a scene like this, do you mark the calendar and you're like, oh yeah, we're getting to the lefts? Because I know Eric in his film, that's why he did the whole movie. He was like, okay, I get to have a love scene with Elizabeth Caitlin. I'm in. Let's do it. Rummy, right? He's speechless. But when you're doing a scene like this, Robert, was it? I'm guessing it was maybe a little uncomfortable, or were you just like, hey, I'm a young guy, I'm in shape, I have no problem stripping off, and let's do it.
No, well, yeah, no problem with what was going on, what we all saw, right? No problem at all, man. I mean, that was like, hey, let's go. But interestingly enough, when I saw the contract prior to me ever getting on a plane and going to Utah, it suggested nudity. And, here I am. I just came to Hollywood. Literally, just arrived in Hollywood. I get this role in a film, and then I read the contract, and it says, yeah, nudity. And I'm like, hey, wait a second, man. This is that it's all going to be on a 30-foot screen in these things. We didn't look at things on our phones then. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, won't do it. So I had a moment there as a 21-year-old to basically tell the whole production, I'm not coming. I'm not going to do this. If this is going to be, you say it's going to be an R-rated film, but as far as I know, I don't believe anything in Hollywood. It's going to be an X-rated film, and my dong's going to be up on this 30-foot screen. So, excuse me, I had I had to have, when it comes to contract, I had to have a writer, an additional piece added to the contract that I would not have any frontal nudity, and they assured me with the other, 4 pages, the writer to the contract that Robert would have no frontal nudity. So in doing that scene, they you see my ass and you see that it appears to everyone there that I'm naked, but the truth of the matter is they had like this little jock strap thing on me to make sure that nothing flopped out and nothing got shown that I wasn't comfortable with showing, being it was my first damn thing ever to do in Hollywood. Like I said, my father already, just when he saw the film at the Directors Guild for its first time, looked at me like, what the hell have you done, boy? All right. So, to have this other stuff on my conscience, I wasn't going to go with it. So, yeah, the nudity and all that stuff, I made sure to cover up the important parts.
I hear you. And I see Eric down there laughing.
Yeah. I was just thinking, wish I had a jock strap to wear. Mine was just, I had to come out in front of the crew, but I get it. It's unnerving, say the least. It's like you can't prepare for it. You can't. There's even if you think, oh, geez, I'm going to be naked. It's nothing like walking out naked in front of 30 sets of eyes.
Yeah. So I think,
if I recall correctly, you had to take a couple of shots of vodka to prepare yourself.
I did. I cheated. I was in a little bathroom just outside of where they were going to shoot, and I just had the foresight to say, "Hey, loosen up, Eric. It's going to be a long day." And,
well put.
Well, these are some of my favorite scenes in the movie inside the toy store, because I see these toys inside the toy store and it just takes me back to my own youth, and I'm just like, oh man, I remember that G.I. Joe set, and I had that Halloween costume when I was a kid, and everything here in Ira's Toys, named after the producer Ira Barmack, just I don't know, just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
It's Justin, it's not just you. I mean, we speak with these fans, right? And many of them come up and they have so much to say about the toy store. They all love it. They love the toys that were in there. They all comment on the stuff that was way out of place. Why was there Easter product in there during Christmas?
Exactly, yeah.
What they say the other night, then I was talking to someone, they said just how when the direction where I was like straightening up magazines and putting the mustache on Mr. Potato Head, they said, was that just a piece of corny direction, or is that, you? They said, hey. I said, I don't recall it being any direction. I was just, again, the general direction was, hey, just be a store clerk. And, as a store clerk would, you clean up the shelves, you tighten everything up at the end of the day. And I guess that was me doing my best job to get the store ready for the next day.
You were a good employee,
Yeah, I was doing my best, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
So things were inside were just not right because of my challenging upbringing. There was the one woman there, not Mother Superior, but the Gilmer McCormick, who was the nun, who, in my eyes in the film, she was the one who cared for me and nurtured me in the right ways. So there was a part of me that was trying to be good.
Unfortunately, that part, the bad part took over. We're about to see that, as a matter of fact. I did want to ask you, I'm sure everybody watching this is aware of the Finding Freeman movement, but there was a period of time right around the time that Anchor Bay released this DVD of the film back in the day, and Silent Night Deadly Night was kind of there was a resurgence, and there was a lot of people were concerned with the whereabouts of you, Rob. A lot of people were wondering, well, where's Rob at? Because even on the DVD, I don't think I think there was a commentary on here, if I do recall, and they had asked, where's Robert Brian Wilson? And they were like, oh, we don't know where Rob is. We tried to find him, blah, blah, blah. So there was some speculation as to your whereabouts too. Do you remember, when you started to hear like, oh, this movie's finding an audience now?
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't. Well, based on your statement that Anchor Bay was trying to find me, and where's he at, and all this stuff, I don't know how much truth there is to that, to be quite honest, because so in like 1999. So that film would have been, 16 years old, 15 years old at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when the Anchor Bay version was released.
Let me see if there's a date on here. I don't see a date on here anywhere, but...
Well, neither here nor there. My point being that up until 1999, I lived in Hollywood. I was all around the town. I was very accessible. And then I moved to Burbank, which is Hollywood over the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been there since 1999. Highly accessible. So anyway.
The funny thing about the Finding Freeman thing is everybody was scouring the globe for Eric, and Eric was in LA the whole time too.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So, maybe. Well, I don't know.
Maybe they just didn't look hard enough.
Yeah, that's probably the truth, and that's great. But they did find me. Scott found me. The producer of the film, who I don't know if you've heard the story, but Scott kind of got pushed out. The moment we went to Utah, Ira Barmack took over and basically told Scott that that it wasn't going to work out. He was no longer a part of the gig. And so Scott, who put this whole thing together, who found the script, had Michael Hickey write this. Basically, he got pushed to the side. And in that, Scott, it was like his baby. And even though it got taken away from him, again, and this is me talking, he never let it go. This was his first piece. And he never let the film just go to the wayside and say, well, I got taken out and that's the way Hollywood goes. And I'm just forever a footnote,
Mm-hmm.
He never let it go. And with that said, here we go, 5 years ago, Scott sent me a letter. And it basically included his phone number. And in the letter, it said, hey, I know you don't do this kind of stuff, and you've removed yourself from Hollywood and all that wonderful stuff. He was very kind and professional about the subject. But here's my phone number, because we're doing a 30-year anniversary at the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. I don't know if you understand the traction that this film has at this point, 30 years later. Mm-hmm. But boy, if you could come and be a part of this, we're going to do a Q&A, and we're going to watch the film, and we'd just love for you to be a part of it. I mean, the moment I read the letter, I got on the phone and called him and said, what's happening, man? And I'm in. Mm-hmm. And, again, I watched the film at the Directors Guild, which was a viewing for the cast, crew, and families, and anybody else involved. involved in the film, in the making of the film. And it wasn't open to the audience, the general audience. That was the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it was, again, at the 30-year anniversary at the Egyptian. And my wife and I went to that reunion, to that 30-year anniversary, to that gathering. And, you know, that was a great experience. I had been running a tape in my mind for 30 years that this film was like, you know, just, I don't know, I wasn't proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
And even before the film, just standing in the foyer, if you will. Mm-hmm. And again, 30 years later, I hardly looked like the guy in the film. I mean, I resembled him, but I'm 30 years older. Mm-hmm. People were standing oddly close to my wife and I in the foyer, looking at me kind of puzzled, putting it together and kind of like pointing at me and talking behind a friend's back, like, that's him. That's Robert Brian Wilson. And it wasn't like the tape that I'd been running in my head, which was like, these people are all like, this film was a joke. This film got kicked out of theaters. This film got lambasted by Siskel and Ebert. This film, the Catholic Church tore it apart. This film, that's a tape that I was running. And the vibe that I was getting from the people was like, that's the guy. And it wasn't like you were a dickhead for doing this film. It was more like, right on, man. I haven't seen this guy for a long time. So something started to happen in me that was like, this film might not be what I've been running the tape. It might be something that these people like, which is what Scott was trying to describe to me. He's like, this thing's become a cult classic. There's a fan base out there that you are completely unaware of. And he was right. First of all, the people's, again, my moment to moment watching behavior was changing my feeling about why I was there, because, you know, you go to these things and you're kind of like, with running that bad tape, you're kind of like reluctant. You're kind of like unsure of what the take is on this thing. And then we watched the movie with a full house. And I've been forever changed from that moment, because they love the film. Mm-hmm. All the stuff that I was insecure about, all the stuff that I thought was corny and unrealistic is right up horror's alley. Mm-hmm. And I was like, son of a bitch, I was so wrong. You know, my take on this, the tape that I've been running in my head about this film was so wrong. And then afterwards, the folks, you know, wanted, because the Perry Botkin, who did the music, mm-hmm. was present that night as well. And they had a new LP that had come, that he had released all of the music from the film, stuff that wasn't heard in what we're watching now, other pieces. And so that was a great opportunity to release that and do some signatures. Well, we did signatures for a long time. Like if Eric and I were sitting at a con signing these things, I would have made a lot of money sitting. And we did it just out of the kindness of our heart. Mm-hmm. Scott, Perry, Britt Leach sat for a minute. Britt Leach was my boss in the store. Mm-hmm. Great man, fantastic actor. So we all sat and signed this LP and whatever else these folks were bringing along, posters, whatever. I mean, it was the first time that I'd ever witnessed anything like this. You know what I mean? And so it was at that 30-year anniversary, my second viewing, that I was forever changed. And unfortunately, it was 30 years after the fact. Mm. Or fortunately, I mean, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, here we are.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was shortly after that I discovered that there was a true audience for this film, an audience that appreciated horror, and really didn't have any problem with what I did with my role in the film. And so I guess, like the Grinch says, his heart grew exponentially that day. So did mine.
Well, I remember I was talking to Eric about doing conventions before he started doing conventions. And I said, man, and I think he had some of the same concerns that you'd had about, your film. And I told him, and this is so true, horror fans are the most loyal, loving fan base of any genre. You could be known for just one movie, one performance, but we will love you if we love that movie and that performance. Doesn't matter if we've come and saw you before at a convention, we'll come back again. If once you make a fan, that's a fan you have for life.
Yes.
And horror fans are the most loyal of any fandom out there. There's no doubt about it.
I can't agree with you more. And again, that was one of the beautiful finds that I discovered at that 30-year anniversary. Mm-hmm. And it's now been repeated on a number of occasions, hanging out with Eric, doing these cons. Again, I come from an athletic background, and I'm a serious fan of athletics. Mm-hmm. But the horror fans are the best fans on the planet. I mean, I can say that because I know that there are real serious sports fans and they're diehard fans, as they call them, and all that crap. But horror fans, man, they're the kindest, most passionate about our projects. And I think, like in sports, a fan can be fickle because you might have a bad day and they're like, screw that guy, Mm-hmm. I don't think that I've seen that in horror, and maybe that's because of the way Eric and I are well, we like people and, mm-hmm. and we want to give our best to them, and maybe that resonates in them and it's reciprocal. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I found that the horror fans are just great people, tried and true, and honest to God, that's why I do these things. Eric knows I work hard in an industry that provides me and my family the bread and butter, and I don't need to do these cons to enhance my life. Mm-hmm. But it's real hard to say no because of the fans.
Mm-hmm. Well, some of us may look rough. Some of us may smell rough. I'm sure you've, you know what I mean? But, it's all right here in the heart. And if you're good to us, we'll be good to you forever. And the thing about it too, is if you have a negative encounter with the celebrity at one of these conventions, that can change everything. Like, there's some celebrities at these things who are just absolute dicks, and that sucks. And that word gets around and people don't want to have anything to do with that guy. And eventually conventions don't want to have anything to do with that guy. But if you're good to the fans, they'll love you forever. And, wow. and I've heard, from my experience with you guys, nothing but love. And from everything that I've heard from people who've met you guys, nothing but love. So that goes a long way with horror fans.
Right on. Well, again, I don't know where it comes from. And again, it might be reflective in how Eric and I treat the fans that come to see us. Eric, I'm just so thankful that he comes and does these things, because I think that, like I was talking about the bad tape that I was running on myself, and because the film was canceled and all the hoopla negativity about the film, I think that, in talking with Eric about his film, that, perhaps, and I can't speak for Eric, but perhaps he was running somewhat of that kind of tape as well. And I was there firsthand to tell him that you have no idea how much these people appreciate what you did. and how much joy it's given them through the years. And if you've had, 5 moments or 500 moments of thinking about this film in a negative fashion, and when you go and meet the horror fans, that's gonna change. And it changed for me, and that's why I could tell Eric from experience that don't run that tape, man. Stop that tape, because they obviously they're looking for you. They want to see you. And it's not because they want to go, dude, what'd you do? You know what I mean? It's like, we loved what you did. And if you tried to do it any different, it wouldn't be the same film.
Exactly.
We wouldn't appreciate it as much. So, I hope Eric gets it like I do, that tape that I was running. I hope that tape is burned to a crisp, because that's not the tape that the fans have.
Yeah, no, thank you, Rob. But yeah, I think the fans look when the fans show up. I think what Robert is and what I hope I am is just a normal guy. You would think Robert grew up on a farm in Iowa, because that's kind of where I grew up back east too, and in the Midwest, and like we clean our own toilets. We're those kind of guys. We're just normal blokes. So when someone walks up and says, my dad turned me on to this film when I was a kid, and it was best times of my life with my dad. My dad passed away recently, and I mean, there's a story with everybody that comes to see us, and it's a story that I can relate, because Robert's had this experience in his life, and so have I, in one way or another. So we're just normal guys, and we get it when the fans show up. And I agree with Rob. I was like, well, my performance, I thought, hey, let this film die. I came from a different place than Robert's film got, taken out in a week, when it was beating everything in sight, and then everybody kind of, it was all negativity about this film, different reasons. My negativity I built on in my own head, because I was chewing the scenery in my character, but we still come from the same world of not liking what we did until we found out that, hey, people like it. So yeah, Rob's right.
Absolutely. We're to the antler death of Linnea Quigley here. And Rob, what was this? How was this sequence choreographed? I imagine there had to be some consideration maybe put into the fact that Linnea was in a state of undress. Was she okay with the physicality of this whole sequence?
Yeah, I mean, yes. And, lots of kudos to Linnea, because, it was physical. It was very physical. And, I keep going back to my athletics, but, look, when I'm on, to use Eric's film name, Eric, you're going to like this. When, as an athlete or a fighter, when I become unhinged, it's undone. Mm-hmm. And I have nothing but the passion of the moment that I'm going to unleash. I'm coming away with a piece of you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is being unhinged, right? As an actor and doing this scene, being as physical as it was, I understood like a dancer that we're choreographed to do this scene this way. And believe it or not, as nuts as it looks and as physical as it looks, being unhinged, I would have grabbed any part of anything to take the upper hand. Mm-hmm. Being a choreographed dance, I was very careful about where I grabbed, where I held her, how I held her, and to take and hands on body around ribs. You dig thumbs in a little too deep, you're going to make some pain.
Mm-hmm.
If you equalize the pressure, it's not going to be as painful. Yes, she knew she was being grabbed, but she rode through all that stuff like a true pro. I did my very best to not hurt her, but yet to make the scene look as realistic as possible to deliver the goods. So, it's a fine line. It's a fine line, but yeah, it was very physical. She's a true pro. Anybody who's out there knows Linnea Quigley, and she's done one thing after another. She's made a career of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it was physical, but we kept it in check,
mm-hmm.
if you will. Kind of.
Well, and there's actually some 6 degrees of Linnea Quigley going on here, because you have, Rob, of course, worked with her here in Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Eric worked with her in Murder Weapon. So, and I met her at a convention several years ago. So there's a lot of
very cool.
So yeah, I think that's the new for the horror community, the 6 degrees of Linnea Quigley. I think everybody's worked with Linnea Quigley at some point. But
I'm looking at the film right now, Justin. Are you at the point where I'm talking with the little girl yet?
Yes, I'm right at that point right now. As a matter of fact, I was going to say what a great scene I think this is.
Thank you. Yeah, this was it's my 3rd time watching it, so this is kind of touching to me.
Well, you bring a lot of subtle nuances to this performance. Like here with the little girl back in Ira's Toys, where you literally see you fighting the transformation to become Killer Santa, to giving into becoming Killer Santa. And I was just thinking, like, that performance is so natural, probably because you weren't a seasoned actor and you weren't, trained in some kind of method, where somebody who was more seasoned or trained in a method may have taken that into histrionics and just made it feel contrived. You made it feel really natural and subtle. And I really dig that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's my favorite scene in the film. I mean, I love the kill scenes. I've mentioned that on a number of occasions because that's just always fun. It's fun for the cast. Mm-hmm. It's fun for the crew. Everybody's pumped up for the kill scenes. But that, for a few reasons, was my favorite scene because it was that struggle that you just talked about, that he was still trying to be what his grandfather said that Santa is on Christmas. Mm. That you punish the naughty, and those who aren't naughty, well, they get what Santa gives.
Exactly.
And for that, after that, the physical scene that I just went through with Linnea and the young, gosh darn it,
Leo Jeter.
Thank you, Leo Jeter. I was trying to remember his name the other night. He was so cool. Such a cool dude, and he was a really great actor too. Mm-hmm. He had much more experience than I did. He probably should have been Billy, but anyway, yeah. So to have that bridge back and allow Billy, I mean that's the writing, and so I compliment Scott for allowing that piece to be in there. I compliment whoever it is that allowed that piece to be in there, to show that the guy still had something in his heart that was suggesting that he was still trying to be good. Mm. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. You could see that struggle in your face. And then when you kind of give in, or when the darkness takes over, there's almost like you kind of breathe a sigh of relief, and that evil look comes. I don't know. For me, I look at that and I go, there's a lot going on up here in, Robert Ryan Wilson's head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you mentioned Leo Jeter. Interesting fact about Leo Jeter. He's now a big television producer and writer. He was in Halloween 6, and the gentleman that we just saw as the Santa climbing up the ladder is Don Shanks, who played Michael Myers in Halloween 5.
Right.
So we've got a lot of Halloween connections going on here too.
Yeah. I'm learning these things as I go. Like I say, 35 years have passed, and I'm just starting to learn about my cast members. Yeah. No, Leo was memorable. You know what I mean? Very memorable. I mean, I remember having conversations with him, and then I think I saw him later in Hollywood. And of course, when you meet or when you run into someone in Hollywood after you've done something with them, you have like this like uncommon bond
Yeah.
that or common bond, I should say, that you guys have made money. You've worked together, and I don't know how much money he made, but he was just trying to get some film, and that was a nice piece for him.
Well, and I was going to mention about that fight. That fight does not look choreographed. It looked like, you two just started. That looked like a real tussle. You know what I mean? It looked like two guys just getting in there and wrestling.
And again, credit to Charles, because he basically said, "Hey, man, this is what we're shooting. Get it on. Do your thing. And stay in this space. And that was that. And so Leo was down, and I was down, and that's it.
It's a good scene. It's a good scene. That's for sure. Who have you got there, Eric? We've got another guest.
Oh, this is a fan. No, she is. She's a fan of all cinema, especially Robert's film, but it's my little cat.
So we've got another guest on this. Is that Swirlish?
That's Swirlish.
Ah, the famous Swirlish.
Sorry, she was bothering me, and I thought I better just hold on to her because she needs this.
She wants some love.
Or else she goes crazy.
She wants some loving. I hear you.
Hey, there's a good scene coming up here with the movie. This is where they're tobogganing and they're beating each other. They're beating the other tobogganers up. They're going to take their toboggan. It's a good pivotal scene here. Yeah.
and of course, Rob has to do some punishing because these guys are naughty.
Yeah. Bullies. They're being bullies, and they're saying bad words, and
well. You mentioned that this film was shot in Utah. It was shot in Salt Lake City and I believe Heber City, Utah.
Yeah.
Do you have any fond memories of Salt Lake City or Heber?
I mean, the folks there, the crew came from that area for the most part, and I'm assuming that they all worked with Charles on his other projects in the past. But the people were great. The people were very, very kind. But I seem to find kind people everywhere. It's just a great thing. It's just one of those things. But the crew was great. Heber was, it's kind of a small town. And it was March at this point in the season. So a lot of the snow in town, in the lowlands, if you will, had kind of melted. So if I'm not mistaken, I think, oh gosh.
Here we go.
Yeah, man. Oh,
yes.
That's what you get for being naughty.
That's what you get. That's what you get.
I love it.
So in the lowlands, as you can see here, I mean, here we are cut away to the city, and there's no snow on the ground. And when you get to that, I think I might be just 5 seconds in front of you, but so and then when they were shooting the stuff at the orphanage, I think they had to bring some trucks in with some snow and shovel it all over the place to get those shots. So that's kind of the Heber was a great great little town. I've been back to Salt Lake City on a few occasions, but I have not been to Heber. I think at some point I should probably go back to Heber and just kind of see if anything jogs my memory. You know what I mean?
There you go. Well, we'd mentioned Ira Barmak, the producer of the film, earlier, and he's an interesting character in Silent Night, Deadly Night lore. Of course, you mentioned the fact that he kind of came in and took things out from under Scott Schneed, and the other gentleman's name escapes me at the moment.
I get his name because he deserves the credit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But go ahead.
And he was the one who insisted upon Charles Sellier directing the film. Do you have any memories of Ira Barmak?
Yeah. I mean, he was very kind to me. You know what I mean? He was he was very cool. I mean, to talk to Scott and stuff, it's unfortunate what happened in that Hollywood story.
Mm-hmm.
But, Ira was a gentleman to me. I actually rode on the plane with him to get to Heber. He and I rode together, which was, that was cool. Again, he was just a gentleman all the way from point A to Z. It wasn't until 30 years later, talking to Scott, that I found out that, he kind of, pushed some people aside to get to where he needed to get. And,
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, but he was a gentleman to me. And, I don't know. Maybe if I was in his shoes and the film got shut down after 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and it was, it was very successful. I don't know if the fans know that, but Beverly Hills Cop had just come out. Nightmare on Elm Street had just come out.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Los Angeles Times, they would always give the top 10 grossing films. And Silent Night, Deadly Night was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from my understanding, Silent Night, Deadly Night was in fewer theaters than Nightmare on Elm Street, but it was making more money per theater than Nightmare on Elm Street was. So it was tracking better than Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
And Dennis Whitehead was the other co-executive producer.
I found that. Dennis Whitehead, he's a gentleman as well. I met him at the 30-year anniversary. And now I don't know the true, the exact history on these guys, but I think that Dennis and Scott were agents. And as agents, they were doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the idea, let's make a horror film, because that might be a fast track to some income.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, if you hear this, or if you're out there, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I think that's what I heard.
Yeah, from my understanding, Scott was in the trainee program at one of the big agencies. Somebody from his alma mater, Harvard, Paul Kamey, had the screenplay, sent him the screenplay. He liked the one thing about the screenplay being the Killer Santa. He and Dennis Whitehead hired Michael Hickey to write the screenplay. Silent Night, Deadly Night was born.
Thank you.
Yes. Sleigh Ride was born. I'm sorry.
Sleigh Ride. Yeah. So good. Yeah, I think that we're getting the history right on this, and it's really cool, Justin, that you've done research and I think you're on point with this. So yeah, unfortunate that they got pushed to the side for whatever it's worth. I don't know what it would have been worth to them in the end, being that it got pulled in 2 weeks, in hindsight, but it must have been painful at the moment when they got pushed out, being that they're the ones that had the idea for this.
Exactly.
They're the ones that went out and got the writer. They're the ones that did the legwork. They're the ones that, all of that. And then to go, hey, by the way, you're out.
Exactly.
Wow.
You do all the hard work to develop the thing, and then at the last minute, bye-bye.
So all I said about Ira Barmak being a gentleman to me, I don't know, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, you hear these things in Hollywood that, kind of blow your mind sometimes, and it's unfortunate, but hey, I understand Scott's got this film back in his hands now, and it's his.
Mm-hmm.
So, good for Scott, and I hope that, he can get something from this. And he's got his baby back, 35 years old, but the baby has not stopped loving him. And so I hope it works out for him. I hope that he can do something with it. There's a tremendous fan base out there.
Tremendous.
And I'm not talking people that saw this when they were 10, and that makes them 45 now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking 20-year-olds coming to the table at the con saying, I just saw your film for the first time. I'm 20 years old, and it's the coolest horror film I've ever watched.
And the thing about this movie and Eric's movie, is that every year it's finding more and more people. And, there's people like me out there who's screaming watch this movie, watch these movies, watch these movies. And there's a lot of other people out there like me too who are, you know, trying to enlighten people on some great horror films. And every year, this movie is finding more and more people. So it's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow.
Well, that's cool. You know, I mean, I never expected this. I've mentioned this on a number of occasions. You know, when 35 years ago when we did the film, and 2 weeks after it came out, it was banned, and Siskel and Ebert and everybody came out and said how despicable we all were for doing it. I didn't get too caught up in that. Trust me, it didn't ruin a day in my life. I just kept moving. But I put it behind me. Rear view mirror, as they say. You know, it's just like, whatever. And the next thing I know, I'm doing a soap opera in New York or some sitcom or something prime time in LA. Everything was just fine. It didn't affect my career. And I've said this on a number of occasions. Hollywood is very forgiving that way. They're not tripping on what you did yesterday. It's like, what are we doing today? Let's get it. Let's make success. You know, let's make something happen here. So Hollywood never like banned me because of what Siskel and Ebert said. They never like, when I came in for an interview, said like, oh, so you're the one, huh? It's like, never happened. Never happened. So cool on Hollywood. Good for Scott and good for the new fans that are watching this film. I don't know. It's just crazy that I'm talking about this film this way, because it's, I never expected this 35 years ago when I put it in my rearview mirror.
Well, and I'm sure both of you guys, I know both of you guys get this question a lot about how, you know, when you were making this film, did you have any idea that 35 years from now it would be? And of course, the answer to that is going to be no. You know, how could you possibly know that? And at the time, you guys are both young working actors. You're off one job, you're on to the next one. You know what I mean? So there's just no way. But, you know, I think that's also part of, you know, not that the people who are asking those questions, there's anything wrong with them or that that's a bad question. It's just, you know, there's just no way you could have anticipated that this film was going to be what it became today.
100%. And I'll tell you, Justin, you know, I mean, this is another part of the you know, the new find is that who would have thought 35 years ago that the internet would be so powerful? Who, you know, we didn't know that then. We didn't know that these phones were going to be as powerful as the big computers at IBM. We had no idea. So the fact that that's all happened is only a feather in our cap, because now there's access to this film like there's never been before.
Never been. Exactly.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So Eric, 30 years ago when you did Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, did you think Garbage Day would ever have 7 million views on a thing called YouTube? I'm just playing, man. I'm just playing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know, back then it was like rotary phones and answering machines that used a cassette tape, and you know, I mean, primitive technology. And if you weren't home to catch the call, you probably missed the audition. You know.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, look, here's how big you guys are today. There's Eric on a poster for Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Here's Rob on a figure for Silent Night, Deadly Night 1. And I got this the other day from Fright Rags, the Big Naughty Activity Book for Silent Night, Deadly Night. Have you seen this, Rob?
No, I haven't. That's so cool.
It's like an adult coloring book for Silent Night, Deadly Night. Like there you are with the milk. I mean, again, not every movie has this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm wearing a Silent Night, Deadly Night shirt, for God's sake. I mean, you guys are, you know.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. I want all that stuff. Because, like, you know, growing up, I didn't, you know, like, you know, I'd get trophies and stuff, and I'd get them today, and I'd take them home and toss them. You know, none of that meant anything, but this stuff means a lot to me these days. It's tremendous.
Yeah. Oh, it's just, yeah, great stuff. Yeah.
really cool.
But that's the testament to what these films have become today. Both of your films have great new Blu-ray releases from Scream Factory. You've got action figures, you've got posters, you've got shirts, sweaters, everything. So that's telling of where these films are as far as popular culture and fandom is concerned.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's very cool. And again, I know it's redundant to say who would have ever thought, but it just blows me away. And it's like every time I turn around, there's more product.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Fright Rags has I'm just throwing out a number, like 7 new designs on t-shirts and sweatshirts and sweaters, well, coloring book. And it's just amazing. It's blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, and here's an interesting question for you, Rob. At what point did your kids discover Silent Night, Deadly Night, and how do they feel about you being Billy Chapman?
Right. Okay, so my kids are like 28, 26, and 18, 17. 2 older are boys, and the younger are my daughter. They, as far as I know, they haven't watched the film.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I mean, if they have watched the film, they have not discussed it with me. They haven't said, "Hey, Dad, I was with some friends last night. I watched the movie. Wow, crazy, dude." They haven't said anything to me about it. Now, maybe. And
Want more sausage, sweetie?
I certainly, I've never sat down with them and said, "Hey, let's watch this film." Because they're kids, and of course now the boys are young adults.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter is of age where she could handle the content. But I don't know. Maybe it's just something that my father passed along. My father was a professional baseball player, and some people would think that, your dad, share all these stories with you about his profession. Did he break out old, tape and show you, his best games? Did he show you pictures of himself in the local TV or magazines or local newspapers? No, my father never did any of that. So perhaps it's just a carryover of that.
Maybe.
Excuse me.
Maybe they just don't want to see their dad wielding an axe and dispensing punishment. That could be it too. You know what I mean? You're right. I don't know what the answer is to that. If they've watched it and they don't want to talk about it because of that, or perhaps they watched it and went, "That's not my dad." Exactly.
That's some other guy that I don't even know what that is. That's acting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I have got no reaction from them because I'm assuming they haven't watched it. But maybe after tonight I'll sit down with the older boys and say, "Let's check this out."
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'd like to respond to that question differently and say they've watched it and they think this or they think that. I don't, whatever their response is. But I think we've never had that moment.
I understand. That's fine. Well, the movie's over.
Wow.
The movie's over. Billy was that close to taking out Mother Superior, but Billy, Santa is gone, so all the kids are now safe. And again, another very, sad. It's kind of a sad movie because Silent Night, Deadly Night was really one of the first slasher movies that wasn't about the victims. It was about the killer.
Right.
And you were a very, very sympathetic killer. So it's just, it really is, when you think about it, a very, very sad film. I try not to think about how sad it is. I just try to think about how, how much I love it. But when you really think about it, it is a sad film. But yeah, what a great movie, great performance from you, Rob. Just, yeah, I mean, it's a classic on so many levels, and it has such a huge following. And like I said, that following will only grow.
Wow. Well, I'm honored. Thank you. Thanks for watching, folks. And that was a great time, Justin. You asked, you had great knowledge of the film, and you asked great questions. So it was like this thing passed like in moments.
I know it flew. I can't believe it's not, 90 minutes. That was so quick.
Wow.
We do have some questions from our audience members out there. Let me see here. Blah, blah, blah. Adam, the motion picture history horror fan, says happy holidays to you and everyone in the chat and the panel as well. This is awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. Pizzow, Eric, and Robert. Iconic, legendary horror history in the building tonight. Wow. Kind words from Adam. Thank you so much.
Nice. Thank you.
Jeff P says this is such a great Christmas present. Thanks to all involved. Thank you, Jeff, for tuning in. Here's a question from my buddy Monty. He says, Rob and Eric question, did your family friends look at you differently after seeing you committing fake murders on screen?
Eric, do you want to start with that?
Well, I don't think any of my brothers or my sisters have ever seen it. I've never talked about it to them. And so I don't know. And back to you, Rob.
Oh, and I kind of addressed that a little bit, saying that, my kids, I don't believe have seen the film for a reaction one way or another. I did, as I'd mentioned early on, that I took my family, whoever was available, and again, that's 35 years ago, to the Directors Guild for the initial screening of the film. And, I think my parents were shocked at what I had done. My father looked at me strangely for quite a while after that, which, I was at that point in my life, is like, hey, Dad, you don't get it. Too bad for you, whatever. I moved out shortly after that, which was the best thing that I could do.
Yeah. Yeah. He may, like I said before, he may have just been like, oh man, my son's, I knew he had a killer instinct, but this is taking it a bit far.
Yeah. And it's weird, not to digress, but yeah, I don't think that my dad ever had any appreciation for me going the Hollywood route. I don't think he ever really, understood the craft at all. And so, what? I don't want to go too far down the family thing, but yeah, I never felt any love from him regarding Hollywood, and that I should continue because I had what it took. You know what I mean? I kind of felt like, and he had said some things at certain points that were kind of like, not real encouraging, and so, that kind of sucked because he was my father. But what are you going to do?
Yeah. My buddy Christian says, hey guys, real pleasure to be able to see this go down. Hey Eric, I met you at Texas Frightmare last year. You were really nice and it was a great experience.
Oh, that's cool. I'm sure I'd remember his face. So thank you.
We've actually had a couple of people ask about upcoming convention appearances. Horror Breakdown is wanting you guys to come back to Texas Frightmare this year. If you want a celebrity to come to a convention, the best thing that you can do is message that convention directly on social media and say, hey, I want Eric and Rob at the next convention. And if enough people do that, that's greatly improved their chances of being there. Let's see. A cinema trash man says, "Thanks guys for doing this." I'm sorry. What?
Were you meaning me, Justin?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say that Texas is the fucking bomb, man. That is a great con. Fuck. Yeah. If they want us back, we're there. You know, and I know. I can speak for Robert because it's the cat's ass, as they say. So yeah.
So yeah,
absolutely.
So the best thing for you guys to do if you do want to see Eric and Rob back at Texas Frightmare this year is to contact Texas Frightmare directly and say, bring back Rob and Eric. So, let's see. Cinema Trash Man says, "Hey Eric, did you watch Red Letter Media's review of the film? Macaulay Culkin was in the review and he absolutely loved you in Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
I did not, but that's nice to hear. And thanks for that. That's kind to bring that up. And I just wanted to say I'm thinking of the Blu-rays that were put out for Robert's movie and mine, and the Shout Factory going the extra 9 yards on that, and all the commentary and all the stuff. And Justin Beam, I just wanted to throw out a Justin Beam shout out to him because that guy makes it easy. He's really good. He's good at interviewing like you are, Justin, and he makes you feel right at home doing it. And I know Robert agrees.
100% agree. And we recently spent some time. Eric can attest to this with Justin, and each time I see that man, he's as kind and as he comes probably from the same. I don't want to say some of his personal stuff about where he lives and whatnot, but he comes from an area in the country where people are conscientious and kind, and he embodies all of that. And he's been nothing but that to me, and I've witnessed his conversations with Eric, and he's a gentleman to the core. And hey, mentioning names, I don't want to go without mentioning our manager, Dominic Mancini, at Full Empire Promotions. He's a terrific manager, and he takes very good care of us in ways that I guess we refer to me as the artist, and sometimes the artist maybe isn't as good at business because we're artists. I'm so thankful to have Dominic on my side out there. And once again, you're mentioning these to contact the cons. If a con wants to, bring Eric or myself in, Dominic's the guy. All you have to do is contact Dominic at Full Empire Promotions, and he's a straight shooter, and that's what I like about him. He doesn't make it any more than it is. He doesn't make it any less than it is. He tells you just like it is. And I have nothing but appreciation for that. And, it's been an honor working with him.
Yeah. Jeff P. also says, Silent Night, Deadly Night is one of the best slashers ever. Robert, you have every right to be proud.
Thank you. That's very kind. Very kind.
Al from Russia says Eric and Robert are what Christmas horror movies are all about. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Shout out from Russia. Right on. Thank you.
Yeah. Vic Hones says Eric absolutely killed it. Don't think anyone breathing could have done those scenes like he did. First time I saw it, I didn't even see humor in it just because I saw such a horror and slasher hound.
Oh, nice. No, he's right. No one else could have done it. There's no question.
There's only one Eric Freeman on the planet, that's for sure, and he's right there. Only one.
No, very, very nice. Thank you. Good, kind words. I appreciate it.
Jeff Overing is wanting to know if Robert Robert and/or Eric could sign his Silent Night, Deadly Night sweatshirt.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Jeff. Yeah.
Where's Jeff at in the country?
Let's see if Jeff is still in the chat. Yeah, Jeff, where you at in the country, man? Let us know.
Yeah. So I don't want to overstep my bounds here, but I know, we're going to be up at CryptoCon, which is in Seattle, New Jersey, HorrorCon. I think that's going to be in, Atlantic City, perhaps somewhere in that neighborhood. If he's anywhere near there, bring it. Eric, do you have any options for him? Because if you were to get this piece to Eric, Eric's close enough in proximity that I would be glad to go over and track him down and sign it. Whatever works. I'd love to sign it.
Actually, Jeff says he's in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Okay. Hey, tell him to go to the con in New Jersey. Bring your sweatshirt, your sweater. We'll take care of it. No problem.
I don't think it's been officially announced yet, but Eric and Rob are going to be at the New Jersey HorrorCon in Atlantic City, I believe. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty confident it is. It's New Jersey HorrorCon 2020. And I believe, and look it up, but I think it's at the end of March.
I'm pretty sure it's in March. I'm pretty sure. So there you go, Jeff. I don't think you're that far away. There you go.
Brother, come on down.
Come on down. Get that sweatshirt signed. But then once you get the sweatshirt signed, you got to frame it. You can't wear it. Frame it. Put it on the wall. So I think that's pretty much about all the questions. We've just got a lot of people wishing us all a very happy holidays and Merry Christmas. A lot of people thanking us for the show, thanking you guys for being a part of the show, saying it's such a Christmas treat. And, yeah. So you guys have brought a lot of Christmas joy to people on this December night. So for me personally, I just want to say what an absolute joy and honor it's been to hang out with both of you guys tonight and talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night. I appreciate the time that you guys spend here. I know you're both very busy, and it's just been an absolute pleasure. So thank you both.
Thank you. And thank you to all the folks who hung out.
Yeah. And huge thanks to everybody. We had a very lively chat tonight. Had a lot of people tuning in and viewing. So it was a very fun night. Let me give a couple of shout outs here. Jeff Overing. Jeff, come to Jersey. Get that sweatshirt signed, my friend. Catherine Long, Steak Sauce, who's been with us all night. My buddy Lauren is in the chat. He's been with us just about all night. Horror Ghoul, all the way up in Canada. How are you doing? Hey, isn't that Devon Graham? How you doing tonight, buddy? Thanks for tuning in. Al from Russia, all the way from Russia. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. Slasher 101, Malek, Mr. Dark. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. It's been a really awesome show. I appreciate it. And everybody out there, have an awesome holiday season. Have a very, very Merry Christmas and all the best in 2019. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Such a pleasure. And have a great one. Be safe. Take care. And until next time, peace.
Merry Christmas.